Hello, and welcome to the Dragon's Lair podcast in association with Riverside Sports Bar. I'm Jamie, and returning to action this week is Gavin Thomas. How are we, Gav?
I'm well, thank you, Jamie. Yeah, sorry for my absence last week, but I am back and I'll say raring to go. I'm not sure I am raring, but I
No.
am back.
Yeah, so we're delighted you're back. So we are available on all the podcast platforms, and if you haven't done so already, please subscribe and leave us a kind review, just like these lovely people have done. So on Apple Podcasts, we had a couple of reviews. Hot Snake says proper tidy accents, in-depth rugby coverage, great podcast. It's nice, isn't it? So
I'll,
thank
t-
you to
I'll
Hot
take
Snake,
that.
proper tidy accents. There you go. And then MJW2G RFC says, always, I'm not making this up, by the way. That was the person's name. Always great analysis and great guests. So that's nice, isn't it? We're getting a
Oh,
couple of reviews. That's quite nice.
yes, and if you want to give us a 5-star review, that's always good for visibility, particularly on Apple Podcasts.
Yes, it does help the algorithm and helps us get out there a little bit more. So thank you both for your kind words. And if you do want to leave a nice review on Apple Podcasts, then please do, and you'll get a shout out on this pod. Right, let's start with a bit of news then, Gav. So, news from last week. Dragons might be signing former Wales and Scarlet centre Scott Williams. Now, Williams has been training with the Dragons and has been looking for a new club since being released from the Scarlets last summer. Dave Flanagan says that the younger players in the squad will benefit from having a role model like Scott Williams and that he's chomping at the bit to play. Now, Gav, let's be honest, Dragons do have a history of signing injury-prone players that are coming towards the end of their career. I'm thinking of the likes of Lee Byrne, Andy Powell, Gavin Ensign, St. Kirshner. The list is pretty long, to be fair. However, I think my
Rob
opinion,
Evans.
Robert Evans, yeah. I think my opinion on this is if it's short term, if it's to the end of the season and it is to cover Steffos, which I presume it is, then actually I don't think it's so bad, to be honest. I am sort of in favor of this. Now I thought about it. If it's just, like I said, till the end of the season and he's there in camp and he's helping the younger players, I'm okay. But what I don't want to see is a 2-year deal or anything like that. But what do you make of the potential that we might sign Scott
Well,
Williams?
exactly the same as you, I think. If it's short term, reasonable money, then it's a shot to nothing, and
Yeah.
because we have got good young centres, we know that, but you need a bit more experience. And with Steph going off to America, I'm
Mm.
assuming that's what Scott Williams will do: stay with us till the summer and then bugger off to the States. It seems to be we seem to be the stopping point to America for players now,
We do, yeah.
particularly ones who come from Scarlets. But I,
Yes.
I think, yeah, he is injury prone, but he's not a bad player, is he?
Oh no, it's talent and ability was never in doubt. I mean, this is a guy who's very experienced at the international level. It's just the injuries, isn't it? He's been so unlucky with injuries over the past few years, but he is fit right now. He's
Yeah.
available to play, and Di said he's chomping at the bit. And if we do pick up a couple of injuries, isn't it worth just signing him on a short-term deal at least till the end of the
What,
season, just to see
what
what
what's
happens?
the worst that could happen? And I know the call. Oh, we need front rowers. Yes, we need front rowers, but
Yes, what's ever this?
that's not to say we don't need strength in other positions as well. And he is responsible for my favourite moment of a game I've ever been at, when he ripped the ball off Courtney Laws
Yes, I
in
was there.
2011. I was there as well.
2012, I think it was, wasn't it?
2012 was the year. It was
Yeah,
2012.
the Twicke
Ripped
was
the
there.
ball
Yeah.
off Courtney Laws, yeah, and we went up the other end to score.
Mm.
I was
And
in
he
the
would
west
be,
stand.
yeah. I can't remember where he was at. I was behind the post, but I can't remember what the name of the stand was. But I mean, he would be a good mentor, wouldn't he, for likes of Joe Westwood and
Mm.
Iwan Owen, because he's got so much experience and know-how to pass on to them. So we're in favour of it, providing it is only short term,
Yeah,
aren't we?
yeah.
That's the
If
gist
if
of
it's
it.
if it's a 4-year deal on top dollar, no, probably
No,
not.
absolutely not. No. So nothing's been signed yet, just to make that clear. But we are looking at the possibility of signing him, so we could see Scott Williams in the Dragons jersey. Who knows? We have to keep an eye on that one. And then another bit of news, then the Dragons have announced a development fixture against Scarlets at Rodney Parade on Saturday, November the 9th. Kick-off 2:30 p.m. So tickets are on general sale right now. Adults are £5 and under 16s are just £1. Great value. Season members gain free entry. So yeah, I guess and that's to give some game time and minutes to the fringe players and the youngsters. Apparently we might have a game against Ospreys as well.
It's like a
So
second 15 game, isn't it,
yeah,
really,
it's
essentially,
an
isn't
A
it?
team. It's an A game, isn't it, really? But
Yeah.
I think it's a good thing to have, isn't it? During that international break, if we can get minutes into the squad.
Well, particularly some of the new guys who haven't played much, like Steve Cummins and
Yeah, no,
Funaki if he's fit.
yeah, absolutely. It's a good opportunity for them. So yeah, development fixture Saturday, November the 9th, 2:30 p.m. Dragons development against Scarlets development. So if you got a free afternoon, get down there and give that a watch. Okay, Gav, let's talk about Saturday night. Dragons lost 31-7 to Connacht. Tame Basham was the Dragon scorer, the only consolation Dragons try. So that result means that Connacht have now won their last 12 league fixtures against Welsh teams. That's pretty good go, isn't it? They like playing the Welsh. It's good to know we're not the only team struggling against Connacht. As for the Dragons, they slipped to the usual position of 15th in the league, and they still haven't won an away game since April 2022 against the Scarlets. So yeah, the away sickness continues. Now, Gav, look, there have been some very encouraging performances, hasn't it, in this first block, and we've talked about that on the pod.
Yeah.
This one, however, on Saturday night, this felt like a massive step backwards. It was the worst performance so far this season. It was pretty woeful, wasn't it? Let's be honest about it. What was your take on what you saw on
Uh,
Saturday?
yeah, it was poor. And I've seen comments saying, "Oh, it wasn't as bad. I don't know what you're expecting," and another saying, "It's the worst game of rugby we've ever seen, and all the coaching team should be thrown into the sea immediately." It it's probably more that end than the other end. Okay, I thought, yeah, it was poor. Uh, it was poor tactically. It was poor in execution. The set piece was shocking. Defensively, it was fine. When they did score, it was because we just fractured under inevitable pressure. But the difference, I think, for me was whenever they got the ball going forward, you got the sense they would make yards, that they would cause problems. And it was about, it was quite early in the game. It was about 10 minutes in, and the ball's gone out to you and Rosser on the wing.
Mm,
And just didn't feel dangerous. It was all so
no.
ponderous. The ball's gone away to him, and the corner defences, and that's what the entire game was like. Every time we attacked, we just ran into defence.
Yeah, the attack. Well, I've heard of talking about it, actually.
Oh,
I feel like I'm repeating the same old things every single pod. Our attack is toothless. It's
oh yeah,
absolutely toothless. And we make these, we create opportunities, but when we're in the opposition 22, we just look absolutely clueless. We got no idea
no.
how to get over the gain line and score tries and be clinical. We just can't do it, can we?
We lack a clinical edge. We lack guile. We lack invention, and we lack the basics sometimes in attack. Going back to you and Rosser attack as an example. So we've gone to the 22. All our attack is flat.
Mm,
It's the pump pass from Angus to Ewan Rosser is signposted.
yeah,
Yeah, Connacht are a good side. They've got a pile of Irish internationals in there. On Blackwood would have been able to defend against some of that stuff. It was just really simple. It's getting a bit. I know how frustrated you are, but I'm getting equally frustrated now because
yeah,
it just lacks teeth. It lacks anything.
yeah. So I watched this game on S4C, and Gav Rhys-Owen was doing the English language commentary on the red button, and he had Sean Holly with him. Um, he described our attack as dragons trying to cut through bread with a spoon, which I thought was a very, very apt description
A
of what
plastic
should.
spoon.
Yes, of us trying to attack. And then Sean Holly said, I mean, I'm paraphrasing, I can't remember exactly what he said, but he said something along the lines of, "Oh, I've been saying for a year how poor the Dragons attack is." And I'm like, mate, I've been saying this for more than a year. It's the same old story, but the thing is, I don't work for the BBC, do I? So it doesn't really count.
Yet,
But I have been
yet.
saying, yeah, I have been saying for the past, what, 18 months,
Mm.
how bad our attack is.
All the
And you can
time we've
listen
done
to
this
this
pod
pod.
together and
Yeah,
before then, you know.
yeah. And on the Rap podcast, the other podcast I do, it's an ongoing problem and it's not getting any better. Why is our attack so toothless? Why do we lack the intelligence? Why do we lack the skill set to be clinical when it really matters? It's just, we're so poor in the red zone, so poor.
And it's so predictable. And like Rio had a poor game yesterday, and I'm no one for criticizing Rio because I think he's consistent. But he had a poor game, but part of it wasn't his fault. I think teams have worked out that these are danger man, and there was one point where there was a big gap. There was a big gap for the centre to run into, but the centre's just passed it to Rio, who's had half a bloody cornet on him the entire time, and he can't. He's not running into space. He's just running into a defence.
Yeah, Rio had a difficult night. He had an off night.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, Gav, he wasn't the only one.
Oh
He was
God,
not the
no.
only one. The first 40 minutes was pretty difficult. I tell you who did have an off night was Dane Blacker. He had an absolute stinker, so bad that he had to be taken off at half time. And they put Roger Williams on. And I like Dane Blacker, but my God, that was a bad performance.
Well, I assumed that Dame Black was selected because he's a slightly better box kicker than Rodri. And looking at the team, I just thought, well, this is about kicking. And we did kick the ball a lot. Bree didn't box kick a great deal. And when he did, it was too long. But his passing, it was pedestrian. You know,
It was
and
slow as well, wasn't it? When the ball was
yeah.
at the ruck, he was just waiting
Well,
to
that's
just
what I
get the
mean
ball
there.
out. Then he was flapping his arms and just, you're thinking, well, just get the ball out. Let's get
and
some energy and flow
but
going here.
he's getting it out to blokes who are standing still
Yeah,
against the defence who are moving. It it's basics. It really is basic stuff, you know. And it's frustrating. It's
yeah.
frustrating because yeah, I appreciate budget, blah blah blah. But oh, come on, boys. You know, I play the lowest level of rugby you can play in England, and I know you don't collect ball stationary. I know you need to zip the ball away from rucks, you know, particularly if the defence is heavier on the fringes.
Yeah.
You know,
I
and
mean,
these are professionals.
I, I, I don't want us to be singling out players. We try not to do that. But
No,
he did have a stink of a first half, summed up by that tackle attempt on Cian Prendergast. I
yes,
mean, he got put on his backside. Don't go hiding. Don't go high.
but that happened a
You know?
few times. There were a couple of tackles where they just shoved us off. The Rio did one where he managed to slow Bundyaki down. But
Yeah.
Bundyaki, it was a proper sit down moment. Bundyaki's just giving him an arm. And Iron Owen as well as fronted up. I think it was Aki again who just sat him straight on his ass. Yeah, I know
Yeah.
he's a big runner, but come on, boys.
Mm. Cam Jones had a tune in at scrum time. But to be fair, this is a kid coming up against Irish international Finlay Bealham. It didn't seem
Yeah.
like a fair contest, but he was also taken off at half
Yeah.
time.
But we had this conversation before the game, and like Cam Jones is helping us out. But this is a bloke who's played most of his rugby for, let's be honest, a poor Swansea team in the SRC and the Premiership as was, and he's coming up against one of the best scrummages in world rugby. Not always
Yeah.
legal. Finlay Bealham
Oh.
does love kind of an angle,
But he's
but
been there, done that, Gav, haven't he? He's been around the block with Cam Jones.
the
He's still a pup. He's learning his craft,
the
isn't he?
bloke's won Grand Slams. He's won championships.
Mm,
He's genuinely considered one of the best scrummaging tight heads in world rugby, and he showed it against Cam Jones, didn't he? Because he schooled him solidly for 80 minutes, and I felt sorry for him. And I was
yeah.
trying to watch it, and it wasn't great because Premier Sports don't like to show binds much, but Cam Jones wasn't getting a bind Finlay Beelum was just getting underneath and he was moving his arm, and Cam Jones had no thing, and then he was getting underneath him and driving up. And anything Cam Jones did to counter him, Finlay Beelum had something to counter that.
Yeah, we knew the scrum was going to struggle, and he really did in that first half. The second half, it got a little bit better when Chris Coleman and Aki Salui come on. We did win a couple of scrum penalties, but on the whole, we knew it was going to be a tough night at set piece time, didn't we? And the line-out didn't function much either, did it, unfortunately?
No, the line-out has been a strength. Well, I say a strength, but it's not been a pain in the bum. But yeah, we were dominated at the set piece. There was one, Brody's thrown it in, and it was telegraphed. So there's a bit of movement at the front. Harry Keddy's not moved. Harry Keddy goes up.
Yeah.
And the jumper Joyce, the Connacht guy, hasn't even jumped as high as Harry Keddy, but the lifters have just got him across the line. He's brought the ball back in, caught it, and the counter-attack from what was a fairly strong attacking scrum for us, attacking line-out.
Yeah, tough night. Aaron Wainwright played for 49 minutes in this game, so he made his return from injury. How do you think he got on, Gav? He did look very rusty, didn't he?
He looked off the pace a bit. And I think because we've been used to Tane so far this season, and Tane's had a real dynamism.
Yeah.
He looked off the pace a little bit. Well, not even a little bit. He looked off the pace a considerable amount.
But it was great to see him back, though, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. And and we can't rely on him to do everything anyway. Some other people need to start sticking their hand up a bit now.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know about you. I mean, it's very difficult to take away positives from the game and talk about players who stood out, because I don't think anybody really come out of this game with much credit. I will say, though, I did think Angus O'Brien was probably our best player.
I was
his
just going to
kicking
say
game
Angus
was very good. Yes, he did miss a kick to touch from a penalty, which is always infuriating to me. But he did put in some lovely 50-22s. I thought he asked a lot of questions of the Connacht defence for his kicking game. I think for me, he's the only player who you could say, yeah, had a really good game. The rest, not so much. I mean, Tane did make a good impact off the bench as well. I will say that. Took his try very well, showed a lot of power, but it just wasn't very good, was it? Let's be honest. No one stood out. No one had a good game. It was a dreadful night.
Angus was 5.5 out of 10 for me, and he was probably the best player. He was easily the best player on the field for us.
Yeah, he absolutely was. The second half. Have you seen a worse half of rugby like that in recent times? I thought it was absolutely abysmal from both teams, actually. Yeah. The skill. I mean, in the first half, Connacht were very impressive. The second half, I don't know what happened to them. Maybe we did a very good job of slowing the game down, but my God, that second half was tough to watch, wasn't it? It felt like the longest 40 minutes I'd ever seen. It was really poor quality fare, wasn't it, from both teams?
Yeah, and I've not been feeling great this week, and really struggled with tiredness, really struggled with staying awake. That was particularly tough watching. And because of my Sky setup, I have to watch Premier Sports either on my phone or my laptop.
Yeah.
I had my laptop on my lap as my wife was watching Downton or something. And I'm just trying to stay awake watching it.
Yeah, it was pretty tough. A very disappointing way to end a disappointing first block, Gav, wasn't it?
We said we needed to come out of this with at least 2 wins, possibly 3, and we've come away with 1.
Yeah. So how do you reflect then, Gav, overall on this block? What takeaways have you got from it?
So Ospreys should have lost, but won, and I'll take that. Great resilience. Leinster, I think we give them a game for 60 minutes, which we've not done this season. The crying shame for me is the 2 South African games, the Sharks and Lions. It was Lions, wasn't it?
It was Lions, yeah.
Yeah, Sharks and Lions. Both games we could have and maybe should have won. Yeah,
should have won.
Definitely the Sharks game, and the Lions one, I think so as well. Really, Benetton, that was What are you going to do? You play,
Outclassed,
against a test team. So,
but competitive.
yeah,
Outclassed, but competitive. Yeah.
and then Connacht was poor. But if you put all that together, and I know Di said, we're about the process, but Di has also said we've got to start winning, and we aren't winning. And
Okay.
Scarlets are winning,
Yeah.
Cardiff are winning, Ospreys
No,
are
you're right.
1-2 now. We're getting left behind again.
I want to bring to your attention something that Dave Flanagan said before the season started. This was in the build up to the Ospreys game, okay? Because this gives a lot of context. He said, where you finish in your first 6 games is often close to where you end up at the end of the season. You have a good block, you get points on the board, and it usually sustains you for the rest of the year. Whereas if you're struggling after the first 6 games, then it's hard to gather momentum up the table. That's what Dave Flanagan said before the season started. So
And
by his logic now, we're going to struggle for the rest of the season because this is what happened last season. This is deja vu now because we had 4 out of our first 5 home games. We never recovered from that first block, did we? We
no.
talked about that a lot on the pod. We never recovered from it. The same is happening again.
And who are we beating?
Where's the next win coming from?
Yeah, who are we going to beat? I don't think we're going to beat Scarlets in the form they're in. Cardiff, we can't win. And I don't like sounding negative, but I'm also, can people say in lovely reviews, oh, it's good analysis. I think it stops being good analysis if we say, oh, yeah, it could be all right. Because it's not all right, is it? Sport is a results business. And we're tied into it passionately. We're fans. It's not a business for us. It's something we care about.
Yeah,
But we need to win games.
we absolutely do. And it's not to worry anyway. Our next game is against Cardiff in URC, a team we haven't beaten since,
Yeah.
check notes, 2015.
Aside, we have a history of. Oh, hang on a second. No, and that's the problem, isn't it? Where do the wins come from? And I know we're doing a bit of a mailbag feature later, and there'll be lots of comments coming up.
Yes,
I,
there
I,
are quite a few interesting
yeah,
comments our listeners have said.
yeah.
We'll move on to that phase soon. But
I think we've recruited what we could recruit. Oh, we should have recruited this or recruited that. It's not out there. We've recruited what we could get with the budget, what we have. Right, that's fine. But none of those are doing the job we want them to do. And Taines had a good season, Rodri's had a good season, Angus has had a good season. I'm starting to struggle now. And Ben Carter and Screech have had a good season.
yeah, no, I agree. Should we move on to the listeners' mailbox then?
Yes.
So we asked our listeners, our lovely listeners, for their opinions on how the first block of the season has gone. As you can imagine, Gav, many of the responses are quite negative, which I can
Yeah,
fully
I've read
understand.
some.
Okay,
I understand the frustration completely.
yeah, let's go through them then. Let's see what we think. Okay, so Nick gets in touch. He says, defense has improved with an actual defense coach. Yes,
Mhm.
that does help.
Yeah.
Still, some players, despite their efforts, not good enough, in my opinion. However, the improvement is still there to see since last season, even if Saturday didn't go to plan. Yeah, I'd say that's fair enough. We have made improvements, you can see that,
But not
but we're just
enough.
not enough improvement to get results. That's
And
basically the
we're
problem.
still losing all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Gareth, friend of the pod, he gets in touch. Our old dragonsy ways still linger over us. We've certainly improved and have come so close to getting results. It seems that we've run out of steam with very few options to freshen up the side due to injuries. Yes, I think that's a problem for all the regions to contend with, to be honest. Shane Lewis-Hughes has been outstanding, yes, but the jury is still out on the other new additions. The season isn't decided yet. Get out of the group in Europe, beat Cardiff, chance to be a fine thing. One other at home in the league, beat Zebra away, pick up more losing bonus points, and it's decent progress. Well, yeah, I mean, we actually need to do those things, though, don't we, for it to be decent progress? But yeah, not all doom and gloom. It's not over yet,
Well,
but
when
it's
is
not
the
a good
point,
start.
though? When is the point, Jamie? Right, when we sit here and go, actually, 3 games in the season and 4 were losing bonus points isn't enough.
Mm. No, you're right.
Because that point has to come soon. I think we're making, I don't want to be making excuses for a professional sports team.
No, absolutely not. Adam gets in touch. He says, we need to play the best players as much as possible and get a coach that can improve the performances. At the moment, that's not happening. A shocking start to the season. Nathan gets in touch and says, let's be honest, we won one game that we probably should have lost. I think we'd agree with that, Gavin. We
Yeah,
were lucky against the
100%.
Ospreys, let's be honest. Recruitment has been poor. Winnable home games, we've ended up on the wrong side. While Scarlets have improved and got the next generation of Wales centres, we're on about signing one of their ex-centres at 34 years old. What do you make of that comment, Gav? Is that fair?
Oh, it's a bit unfair, isn't it? Because I think our centres are decent. Joe Westwood's a good player. Harry
Are
Ackerman,
they as
he's
good,
a good.
though? Are they as good as Max Page and Eddie James?
Max Page has played about 4 games of rugby. Let's all calm down a bit.
He's
Uh,
a good talent, Gav, to be fair.
well, he
He's a
is a
really
good
exciting
talent, but
talent.
so is Joe Westwood.
Mm.
You know,
No,
and
I do agree with you. I do agree.
yeah,
But
and
Max Page is bursting onto the scene, isn't he? And he's scoring tries.
well, I'm going to sound like an Ospreys fan now, so just shoot me, universe. But Scarlets do get a lot more trumpeted in the press than we do.
Yeah, every Welsh team does, apart from us. We
Yeah,
never get trumpeted in the
so
press.
like, and I was having a conversation with James from the Ospreys Erie,
Mm.
and he said, "Well, Max Page will be the next Welsh centre," laughingly, and I said, "Well,
You're laughing, but
yeah,
it could
yeah,
happen.
it's not a wild suggestion." Eddie James is good. I really like Eddie James.
Yeah, he's a big lad. He's a typical Gatland player as well, isn't he?
Yeah, I know but he's quicker. He's like Jamie Roberts without the dubious kind of reputation, and a bit quicker.
Mm.
I don't
Joe
think he's as good
Westwood,
as Jamie Roberts, but
no.
it's
Joe Westwood's a very talented player. Yes, he's got a lot of work on, particularly in defence, but he's up and coming, and
yeah,
he's going to be an important member of this team going forward. As is Harry Ackerman, who's been out of
yeah.
action. We haven't seen him since he's broken his leg. So there is talent in our centres. We got to back our young talent, haven't we? To
I
be
do
fair.
see the point he's making, but
Yeah,
like we said with the Scott Williams thing, if it's short term, it's a good idea.
yeah. Yeah, I agree. Only if it's a short-term deal. I don't see the harm in bringing
No,
him in, especially if he's fit and we don't have to rehab him.
yeah,
Okay, Dave gets in touch. He says, it seems we're heading back to last season's form over the last two games. Definitely concerned about our attack, yes. So we did seem to be competing a lot better in the first four games, but only winning one out of the four home games, I feel is going to end up with us being bottom of the league by the end of the season. Well, we saw what happened last season. We failed in the first block and we never recovered from it, as I mentioned earlier, and we end up in a basement battle with Zebra. And I got a horrible feeling we're going to see the same again this season.
yeah, totally agree.
Yeah. Who gets in touch? The voice has been far more entertaining than the Dragons, and that's absolutely dire. I mean, I haven't seen an episode of The Voice for years. I don't know if you have, Gav, so I'll have to take whose word for it. But apparently,
It was
The
on
Voice,
BBC One the last time I watched it, and
yeah,
Will I Am ended up getting a male Tina Turner impersonator for his last pick,
yeah.
and that
So
must have
that
been a decade ago.
he was saying that's more entertaining than the Dragons. So okay, fair enough. Fair enough, I guess. Um,
He's not wrong though. But the thing is, right, that game wasn't entertaining.
no, it's
Could
terrible. Yeah.
I remember? I've got American relatives, and I was watching rugby on TV. I was watching it was Bristol Gloucester. Just
Mm,
a while, and it was one of the greatest games of rugby I think I've ever seen because neither team wanted to defend, and the American relative was saying, "This is insane. This is one of the greatest sports I've ever seen."
yeah.
I think if I showed him that Dragons Connacht game, he'd have probably, well, he'd have probably gone the first flight back to Minnesota he could have managed, to be honest, because it was hideous.
Yes, one for the purists, I think they say, don't they? Oh dear.
The masochists, I think, rather than the purists.
Well, we as Dragons fans are
Yeah,
sadomasochists. We must be, 'cause we put ourselves through this every single year.
definitely the masochism part.
Yes. Matthew gets in touch. Our attack has been woeful. We just seem to go side to side and get smashed back each time and then kick the ball away. Yeah, sounds familiar, doesn't it? If we play like we did on Saturday, then we will be 16th coming the end of the season. And if that happens, I want die gone. Now, this is where we start again to
Yes.
die
Well,
out because the fans have. I could sense it last season. There was a bit of discontent growing
yes.
around die, but this season now, especially
Oh,
that we've
it's
gone back to being losing again, it's you can sense the fans. And we've got to be careful with Facebook, mind. It doesn't represent the fan
no.
base. It's not entirely representative, but you can feel it on social media, on the forums. There's a growing discontent now towards the coaching. So
So there's 2 points really kind of come out of it for me. One is, well, I'll go back to that. So I listened to her on or watched it on Premiere, and they were saying the Dragons are the team that kick it most in the URC,
yeah,
and we kick nearly 80% more than the next highest kicking team, and which is fine if your kicking's accurate. The second, my question, and it reminds me when I went on the Black Feather pod when I said, "Oh, I think we could finish 13th," and the host goes, "So who finishes below you?"
yeah, I
If
saw
we,
that. Yeah.
yeah, but if we get rid of Dow, who replaces him?
Well, this is the problem, isn't it? I've seen a lot
Yeah.
of people saying Toby Booth, and it's like, get that idea out of your head. He wants out of Welsh rugby. He is not going to come to the Dragons. I would love Toby Booth to come to the Dragons. I'm one of his biggest fans. I think he's great. I think he's done a superb job at the Ospreys. He's not going to come to the Dragons. Get that idea out of your head. Someone did say to me, because someone said I should go, and I said, well, who would you bring in then? And he said to me, Di Young. That's just the caliber of coaches though that we're going through. No one's got any real strong candidates. Or the other popular favourite is Pat Lam. And it's like, well, no, because he's in a long-term contract with Bristol. So we can't have him either. I mean, again, I
Who
love
paying
Pat
him
Lam.
3 times more than we
Yeah.
could afford to pay him?
Yeah, he's on a big fat contract, and there's no way he's leaving that to come to us, quite frankly. So
It'd be like us as county fans saying, "Well, we'd like Jose Mourinho or someone."
yeah, it's just not going to happen, is it? Get the idea out of your head. But that's the problem. People say die gone, but then when you question, well, who comes in, they either come out with silly answers or they're like, oh, I don't know, there must be somebody. It's that's the situation we're in.
Well, there probably is somebody. Are they better than what we've got already? Who knows?
But a lot of people wanted Fia Tia to be head coach, didn't they? That was the
He's not had a good
but
history as a head coach. I think we need to, put on our realism pants here a little bit.
mm,
And he's had 2 quite short spells as head coach. He's predominantly been second wheel.
yeah. And
Yeah,
look,
I think he's good. There's a lot of love for Philo because of his time at Ospreys as a player.
yeah,
That's different jobs, aren't they?
yeah, exactly. And look, I really don't want us to be speculating about head coaches if we can help it. Um, we've had Di on this pod. He's a really nice guy, Gav, isn't he? He's really passionate about the region. And I think he is a really good coach. But I do fear if results don't happen in the next block, I think there's going to be a serious conversation going on in the media and with the owners. And I
We
don't want that to happen. I'm desperate
no,
for Di to turn this around. I really am.
we run by businessmen, and eventually they'll make a business decision.
Yeah. I'm just desperate for him to turn around, but we'll wait and see.
Well,
Uh,
so am I as well. I liked him as a coach, and then when we spoke to him, I liked him and respected him
yeah.
even more. And I don't, but this conversation's happening now, and we can't sit here on the pod and go, "Well, we disagree with it, therefore we can't discuss it."
Yeah, we can't ignore it, Gav, can we?
No,
And the longer these results go on for, we can't ignore it. This brings us on to the comments then. So Leighton says Dave Flanger should step aside. He's not good enough to be a regional head coach. Those that some of the comments that we had. Jeremy said, still don't think Dave Flanger knows where his best 15 is. However, we are going backwards again, which is very worrying. Alid got in touch. He said we need to bring a new attack coach and fly half for next season. Out of all the new signings, I really like Shane Lewis Hughes. I think he's been by far the best signing of the year,
yeah,
let's be honest. My favourite player this year by far, but he says, I was expecting a lot more from Lloyd Evans. Now, we've spoken about this on the pod, haven't we? I'm still not entirely convinced by Lloyd Evans.
no,
There's
neither am I.
something that just doesn't convince me about it. And it's not just the goal kicking either. His goal kicking is really poor. Um, I'm
His
I'm not
kicking from hand
convinced.
isn't good either,
Yeah.
and neither is his distribution. And essentially, that's what you want from a 10, isn't it?
The thing is, it's a weird one. I don't think he's been bad, but I don't think he's been particularly good either. It's just been
he's
okay.
he's been no better than Will Reid was last year. I don't think he's been much better than Will Reid.
Yeah, but is he probably our best option for 10 right now?
Lloyd Evans, yeah, probably.
Or do you play Angus at 10 now? Now that Kai Evans is back. Is Angus our best 10? Or do you prefer him a fullback?
I prefer him at fullback because
Mm,
I don't think Angus really, and well, I say he doesn't unlock the attack. Nobody unlocks the attack, but neither
no.
does Lloyd Evans.
And Kai Evans can play 10, as we know, but he's not a 10.
No,
But
he's a fullback as well.
yeah, exactly. We've got fullbacks who could play 10,
Yeah,
haven't we? That's part of the problem. But yeah, I need more convincing on Lloyd Evans. I know he scored a lot of points for us. I think he's in the URC's top points scorer in the top 10, but I'm not entirely convinced as of yet from what I've seen. So yeah, that's where we stand on that one, Gav, isn't it?
mm.
Graham got in touch. Defense has been a real positive this season. We really need to sign some good players next year and possibly a new attack coach. Now, this is a recurring theme. Matt O'Brien is not convincing supporters, Gav, since he's been appointed as attack coach. And a lot of our listeners are saying we want a new attack coach. I don't think the new signings have had much of an impact except for Shane Lewis-Hughes.
Proof of the pudding of anything is in in the eating, isn't it? And Matt O'Brien is attack coach, and it's like cutting bread with a spoon, to quote
Gareth Rousseau, yeah, an
Gareth.
excellent quote.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a good quote.
and that's the point. If that's what it looks like, there's a problem. In terms of the signings, only Shane Lewis-Hughes has had any real time in the team, hasn't he? So him and Lloyd Evans. So you've got to be fair.
Yeah.
Harry Wilson hasn't really done a lot yet.
Since that Sharks game, he's been, well, he hasn't featured much at all, has he? He's
No.
sort of been in and out of the squad. It's been very telling, actually. I'd like to see him start a few games now. I think we
Yeah.
really need to have a look at Harvey Wilson because I think there's a player there.
Yeah,
And we
so do
can't
I.
keep punishing him for what happened in that Sharks game.
No.
Yeah, and often he missed some tackles. It happens. Other players in the team have missed tackles.
Mm.
I'll be put on their backside. So
Cummins hasn't had much chance to play yet.
yeah, we haven't seen enough of him yet.
No,
No,
Ollie Burrows hasn't had much chance to play yet.
no, he pulled out through
The
illness.
last sec, didn't he?
Mm.
So, and then who else is new signings?
Well, we haven't seen Solomon
Funaki's,
Funaki. We
yeah,
haven't seen him yet. No. So we'll have to wait and see. He could be a really good signing, by the way.
yeah.
But like you said, Gav, the proof's in the pudding. And so far, it's pretty clear that Shane Lewis-Hughes has been the best signing by a country mile. He's been fantastic. And he should have been in the Wales squad, but we'll talk about that
But
a little
but
bit
that
later.
doesn't take Nostradamus to work that out, does it?
No. We said he was going to be a great signing for us, didn't we? At the
Yeah.
time, we knew
He
he'd
was
be good.
he was a good player for Cardiff.
Yeah.
Stands to reason to be a good player for us.
Yeah. Just a couple more then before you finish up because we had loads of comments. Thank you to everyone who submitted their comments. Simon says this team makes too many mistakes to ever win anything. Harsh but true. We are our worst. We are our own worst enemy, Gav. How many mistakes do we make every game? It's true. It's true. Kevin says taxi for Flanagan. And then finally, Richard says there have been improved performances and a bit of grit. Yeah, agree. But Saturday felt like a step backwards. Absolutely. If this team can play with the intensity that they showed against the South African teams and not drop that standard, they could still have a good season. So that's a positive note to end on. All is not lost yet. It might not be a disastrous season. It's just at the moment it feels that way because of that dreadful performance. So that's it. Look, Gav, those are the comments. And there were many, many more. I'm sorry we couldn't read out all of them. We haven't got time, quite frankly. A lot of them repeat themselves. A lot of get die out. We need a new attack coach.
Lots of similar themes, weren't there?
Absolutely. I don't agree with all the comments. I agree with some. But to be honest, Gav, I understand the frustration. I really understand their frustration. Do you? Do you understand?
Yeah. I am not the bloke who shouts at the. Well, I used to be, but I'm not. The last couple of years, I've not been the bloke who shouts at the TV. But there was one point last night where I was genuinely more interested in what was happening in Downton than, admittedly, 10-year-old TV series. But my wife was watching that, and I was more interested in what was happening in Downton rather than what was happening on the screen, and that's not good.
No. So we're in 15th now, which is our usual position. That's where we
Yeah,
finished for the last 3 seasons. I mean, you could argue that the Dragons are probably where they should be. I mean, that's a slightly negative and pessimist way to look at it, but maybe we just are that team.
no,
Maybe we are where we should be. Or should we actually be doing a lot better than what we're doing?
but there's two lines to it, isn't there? Yeah,
Mm.
probably we are the 15th best team in the URC,
Yeah.
but we've lost that argument, or we have the old budget argument.
Do you
Because
feel the other teams are progressing better than we are?
well,
Does that feel that way
I don't
too?
think Ospreys are, but
But they're not going to be bottom three, are they?
no,
Because
I
at the
don't
end of
think
the
so.
season, they're going to be
But
climbing up there.
but Cardiff look a decent side, and Scarlets look considerably better than I imagined they'd be. So
Yeah. Do you still take stock in your opinion that we're going to finish above the Scarlets,
no,
or
I
you're
don't.
slightly you wrote back on that one now,
Well,
have you?
they've won 3 games, and I genuinely don't know where we're going to get another 2 wins from. So
Mm. Yeah, we've reached that stage already. A lot of people might say we're being negative. I don't know, but you've heard the comments from our listeners, so it's
uh,
not just us. The general feeling among supporters is frustration.
But we've got to be realistic, Jamie, and we are generally quite positive men on this pod.
We try to be, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
but we both understand rugby as a game,
Mm.
and we're struggling to see where wins are coming from, and that's
Yeah,
not being negative. That's just being realistic.
absolutely. Dave Flanger's spoken a lot about process, all
Yeah,
about the process, but you can't dress it up, Gav. It's a results-based business. And Dragons will always be judged on results, whether we like it or not. They're not going to be people that are on the outside, ordinary Joe, don't look at the Dragons and think, oh, yeah, they're good processes.
Well,
They look at the results, they see it on Facebook, they see it on social media, they look at the results and they shrug their shoulders and go, oh, Dragons lost again. They're rubbish. That's what people
who
think.
when you first fell in love with sport, any sport, who did you fall in love with? Which player? Which team?
I love Scott Quinnell, I did. When I first got into rugby, I loved Scott Quinnell. He was my hero.
Yes, Mark Ring for me.
Yeah.
Neither those process players, they were both very good at what they did.
Mm.
Mark Ring was a great creative player. Scott Quinnell in winning teams. Mark Ring was in a winning Pontypool team. Scott Quinnell in the Lions and everything else.
Yeah.
People don't fall in love with process. They fall in love with winners.
Yeah. No, they absolutely do. So we need some results in the second block because otherwise, if we carry on in our vein as we did in Connacht and carry on losing, it's going to get very grim again, isn't it? It's going to be
Yeah.
another one of those seasons, and the supporters don't deserve that. They really don't deserve it. Right, before we move on then, a word from our sponsors, Riverside Sports Bar. With multiple HD screens showing all the latest sports action, you'll never miss a match on TNT, Sky and Premier Sports. There's a wide range of delicious food and drinks to keep you going throughout the game, from juicy burgers and crispy wings to refreshing beers and spirits. There really is something for everyone. They're located next to the river on Clarence Place. And for more information, go to www.riversidesportsbarnewport.com. I will confess, I was in the Riverside Sports Bar on Saturday. We went there before the Newport County game. I had a Welsh Pride burger and it was bloody lovely. And my wife had a October hot dog. And that looked very, very nice. The food is great, Gav. It really is.
Was it like a bratwurst type thing,
Yeah.
like a German style hot dog? Oh,
And they
see,
had what this saucer kraut and all that stuff on it. It
uh,
had all they had the works on it. It looked very, very nice. But my burger was banging. It's really good food. I'd urge anyone, if you're in the Newport area, you fancy a bite to eat, burger or hot dog, wherever, get down to the Riverside Sports Bar. Okay then, Gav, it's time for your Gwent Rugby Roundup. What's the latest?
So we'll start in Super Rugby Cymru, where being a Gwent fan is a positive time. So
Mm,
Pontypool played on Friday night against a friend of the pod's Hugh Gustafsson Swansea team
I watched that.
at St Helens, yeah, and
Yeah.
won 43-10. That places them in fourth in the league. Newport won 62-7 at home against RGC, which places them in third.
Shea Hope and
And
Will Reed, Dragons halfbacks, played in that game.
yeah, yes, I think there's some quality there, isn't there? Those guys
Yeah.
who've played regional rugby are showing. And then Carmarthen Quins 11, Ebervale 39, which places Ebervale
Good
in
win.
second on points difference behind Cardiff.
Yeah, very good win.
So Gwent teams all in the top positions there. So into the Premiership, also good day for Gwent teams. Cross Keys 34, Newcastle Emlyn 17, and then Narberth 30, Newbridge 36. So good in the top two leagues. All our Gwent sides won. In the Championship, Aberdeen 5, Penaltha 28, Bedwas 37, Glamorgan Wanderers 31, Brimau 14, Beddau 26, so Brimau's tricky start continues, and Tallywine 37, Annisty 17. That's a localish derby, isn't it, Tallywine
It
and
is.
Annisty?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not far. Yeah, not far at all.
Mind you saying all Gwent sides aren't that
It's
far
just up
from
the
each
road.
other.
That's what you're saying. Oh, yeah, it's just up the road, that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in the Division 1, Ablairi Blaenau Gwent 25, Newport High School All Boys 8, Bedlinog 47, Abergavenny 19, Blaenavon 27, Monmouth 30, cracker of a game that. And Pontypool United went away to Nelson and lost 26-9, unfortunately. Into Division 2, another cracking game, Abercorn 24, Caldecott 25.
Sounds good.
Well, yeah, I bet that was ding-dong, that. Blackwood 40, Cwmbran 10, Blaenau 22, Pill Harriers 15, Croesacelliog 52, Risca 20, and Gondifai 39, Ask 13. Division 3, Killian 14, New Panteg 24, Chepstow 20, Rumney 28, Fleur de Lis 64, Abertwsog 7. Not a pleasant day for Abertwsog,
No,
that.
not really.
No. An absolute cracker at Machen, where they drew 26-all with Nandy Glow, and Oakdale 14, Newport Saracens 22. Into Division 4, Bedwellty 12, RTB Ebervale 19. Good season for RTB so far.
Yeah.
Crickhole 42, Fordside 24, Gwynafed 31, Llanillough 12, and Pontefraith 7, Whitehead 33. Pontefraith again, another team who's found promotion to be tricky.
Yeah.
Division 5, Beaufort 21, Hafod yr Ynys 43, Derry 48, Blackwood Stars 5, and Westmont's stinking start of the season
Oh,
continues.
no. What was the
The
score this week?
Hartridge 89, Westmont 0.
Oh,
So they
dear.
have had, yeah, nice club, Westmont. Always had a lot of time
Yeah.
from when I was at home, but they're just struggling at this level. I think they're struggling to get a team out, and it's showing on the pitch.
Yeah, they've had some really heavy defeats, haven't they? Poor
Yeah,
Westmont.
yeah, absolutely. And then last one, Mago 8, Tredegar Ironsides 28. Into Division 6A, Old Hilarians 36, Cumcarn United 0, Trinant 52, Brynifel 0. That genuinely is a local derby. I think you can see each other's pictures from there. And then a new set of results for us into the Dragons Athletic League. So for the second 15s, Nelson second 15-12, Blackwood second 15-26. So I've discovered I can get those results now. So we're getting even deeper into the world of Gwent
Excellent.
Rugby. And we also have a update from our friends at the All-Stars, Dragons All-Stars. A fantastic day of free-flowing rugby at Eugene Cross Park, Ebervale, the Cineglass Community Stadium, to give its official title. The Dragons All-Stars running out victors 51-26 versus Bolton to maintain their running streak of 13 unbeaten games. The game was played in true mixed ability rugby spirit. Next up for the All-Stars is away to Port Talbot Panthers on Sunday, the 3rd of November. And I am determined to play at least one game for the All-Stars before the end of the season in my never-ending retirement here.
Fair play to the All-Stars, mind. That's a cracking result. They're going well. It's nice to see a Dragons team actually win it, isn't it? Fair
Well,
play to
yeah,
them.
the wheelchair team and the All-Stars.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah, and the girls under 18s are all doing well.
Yeah, fair play. Thank you for that update, Gav. Right then, international rugby is just around the corner. And Wales have named their squad, 35-man squad for the Autumn Nation Series. So 4 Dragons got a call up, the Fab Four, as we're going to call them. Aaron Wainwright, Rio Dyer, Ben Carter, and Rodri Williams. To the surprise of many, including Rodri himself, who had booked a trip to Alton Towers and then had to cancel it because he'd been called up to the Wales squad. Derry Lake's going to captain the side again this November, having done so on the summer tour to Australia. So the notable omissions then, obviously Brodie Coghlan, pretty disappointed not to see him there. Chris Curran wrote an article saying it was a relief not to see him in the squad because he can concentrate the Dragons and get more game time, get
Who's the other
better.
hookers in the side? I was away for work and I didn't really give
So
much chance to look at it.
so it's Derry Lake, obviously. Then it's Ryan Elias, who you like, you're a big fan of him, and
Yeah, I do.
Cardiff's Evan Lloyd, who I'm
All right.
not a big fan of, I'll be honest. I've not seen it with him. But
He's
anyway,
fine. Yeah, Evan Knight is fine. Yeah, I do like Ryan Elias. Gets on the park lots.
Yeah. So yeah, disappointing not to see Bodie in there. Shane Lewis Hughes missed out, unfortunately. Leon Brown. Now, I think to be fair, I'm kind of glad Leon stopped being called up, um, only because he needs more game time and
Yeah.
more minutes under his belt. Because there has been this cycle with Leon Brown where he gets injured, comes back, plays a couple of games for Dragons, gets called up for Wales, comes back injured, comes
Yeah.
back for Dragons, 2 games, gets caught. That cycle is just not good for his development anymore. So I'm
No.
really pleased actually. The one Gatland, he said he had some concerns with his fitness. I think he needs to stay with the Dragons, get more game time, and get back to being the prop that we know he can be. So I think that's probably for the best, if I'm honest. Tane Basham misses out, and Matthew Screech as well misses out. So Gav, what do you make of those omissions? Like, is 4 the right number of Dragons? Would you like to see more? Do you think that's probably the
Well,
right call?
I thought we'd have 5 in the squad,
Mm,
and so Wayno, Rio Dyer, but I also thought we would have Shane Lewis Hughes, Tane, and I thought Brodie Coghlan would get called in.
yeah.
I'm really pleased for Ben. I think Rio Dyer's there because who else do you select? Because his form's not been great. The back row is disappointing to me because Shane Lewis Hughes would have brought a bit of balance, and I'm dull. I'm old fashioned. I like a shit out 6. I like an 8 who's going to break the game line, and I like a fetcher at 7. And Shane
He's
Lewis Hughes
probably
brings the 6, doesn't he?
he's probably missed out to guys like Tane Plumtree as well, who has
Well,
been in fantastic form for the Scout. I think Tane and Shane Lewis Hughes, they're victims of our back row depth.
yeah, Plumtree
That's what it is.
and Chris Shunza
Mm.
are the players who've been selected in front of Shane Lewis Hughes because they're all hybrid players. They're both hybrid players, well, and Shane Lewis Hughes is. I just think Shane Lewis Hughes is an actual 6.
Yeah, he's a 6 who can play lock, but
Yeah,
he's clearly better at 6, and he could do a job at 8. But he's a blind side. That's his position.
you just want somebody who's snotting players on the short side of the field.
Yeah.
Well, I think what we'll end up with is Rafael at 6, Jack Morgan at 7, and Wayno at 8.
No, I think it'd be Tane Plumtree at 6,
Do you
personally.
think so?
I do. I think he's in very, very good form. I could see Plumtree, Morgan, and Wainwright at 8. I mean,
It's fine,
some
but he's
people are
not a 6
questioning.
Plumtree.
No, some people are questioning whether they put Aaron Wainwright in, because he hasn't played much rugby. But when has that stopped One Gatland before? He's done this with many players like
Yeah.
Liam Williams, and well, yeah, hasn't he? In the past,
Oh
he's picked
yeah,
players without very little game time and chucked them straight into the squad. So, and let's not forget, Aaron Wainwright is Wales's Player of the Year. He
yeah.
was voted Wales's Player of the Year, so you want him in there. I know he looked rusty against Connacht, but that would be my back row anyway. It'd be Plumtree, Morgan, and Wainwright. But you'd go a different way, would you? We'd have Rafael as 6.
No, I wouldn't. That's what I imagined they'll end up with. I'd have Shane Lewis Hughes, Wayno,
Mm.
and Jack Morgan, but I'm obsessed with back row balance.
What about Rodri Williams then, Gav? Because look, that came as a surprise to me, but I'm absolutely bloody delighted for him because how many times have I said on this
Uh,
podcast and on Rap, Rodri plugs away every week. He's so consistent and he's been overlooked by Wales for years. And now suddenly out of the blue, he gets this call up. But I did expect to see Ruben Morgan-Williams in the team, and a lot of Osprey supporters
Yes.
did as well. But I'm delighted for him. I'm really pleased for Rodri. He deserves this.
Scrum half's not position of strength, is it? You know,
Not
I
really,
like
no.
Rodri and he's a good player, but it's not position of strength. And basically, it's Thomas and two others.
Ellis Bevan is in there.
I like Ellis Bevan. He's very polite to my son because when my son asked Ellis Bevan where Mason Grady was, so you could have a picture with him, and he's gone. You can have a picture with me. And my son just looked at Ellis Bevan and going, "Oh, yeah, I suppose."
Yeah, I like Ellis Bevan as
so,
well.
so yeah, I've got time for him for that.
Max Llewellyn from Gloucester. Gav Anscombe back in the team. Is that the right decision to bring him back?
Yeah, and all those Gloucester boys have been playing well. You know, Ken Max Llewellyn has been playing well at Gloucester. Oh God, what's the guy's name? The second row,
Freddie Thomas.
Freddie Thomas. Yeah, he's decent as well.
So Freddie Thomas has been linked to the Dragons. I think I sent you the link, didn't I?
You did,
Some
yes.
time ago. So Steph Thomas from Wales Online saying the Dragons are front runners to sign Freddie Thomas. I don't know how true that is, but
No,
we've been linked to him. So I'm quite keen to see how he
yeah,
gets on. I
he's
tell you,
looked
I
good for
am.
Gloucester.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I tell you, I am pleased to see back in the pack, though, and I think he's going to make a big difference to us. Is former Dragon Will Rowlands. Because
Yes.
I think
Oh, yeah.
we've really missed him, Gav, haven't we? And we know how good Will can be for that grunt physicality and ball carrying and set piece work.
Big horrible lump of a bloke who's playing really well at Racing. You know.
Mm, yeah. And taking my Dragons hat off as well, looking over players, Nicky Smith. How ironic that Nicky Smith, who hasn't actually been playing any better for Leicester Tigers than he was at the Ospreys, but is getting more traction and getting more noticed. He leaves Wales. Suddenly he's straight back in the Wales squad. And when
I,
he was
I'm
plugged away at the
I'm
Ospreys,
pleased for him to
Gatland
be
didn't look at
back in.
him.
No,
Yeah, but
pleased
isn't
for
it
him to be
weird?
back in.
Don't you think that's weird though? How he's been consistently the best scrumger loose as prop in Wales for the past 2 years, doesn't get a look in. As soon as he moves over the bridge, Gatland's like, "Yeah, I'll pick you." I just find it weird.
He does have a thing with the Ospreys, doesn't he?
Oh, don't
Anyway.
even start now, conspiracy theories. You sound like James on rap. Everyone hates us. Gatland hates us.
Well, do you know what? I saw an Ospreys fan on Twitter, and like he was saying, "Well, I'm pleased he's ignored us because it just means we can focus on Ospreys until a proper coach comes in." That's-
I do think they have been hard done by. I mean, I look at guys like Morgan Morris, and he should be there. Give him a chance. Let's just see. How do you know he's not international standard until we give this guy a chance? But again, it's the back row depth, though, isn't it? You know.
Well, and this is the point, isn't it? It's no conspiracy against Morgan Morris. He is a number 8 during a period of strength in depth in Welsh back rowers where we have in no other positions.
And he's
So
not really a line out option, is he? Like Wainwright. I
no,
think that's the other problem, you know.
he's not as athletic as the other options in those positions, as Plumtree, as Wayno, you know.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of Morgan Morris. I would have loved to have seen him in a Wales shirt, but it doesn't look like it's going to
I
happen.
like
Gatland
him.
just doesn't
I
fancy him,
like
does
him as
he?
a player. I think he's a good player. I don't think he's anything better than what's already there.
Mm. Former Dragon, Nick Tompkins. I'm surprised to see his name in there, but he's in the squad. Ben Thomas, who was described by Warren Gatland as Wales' best back. Do you agree with that?
I like Ben Thomas. I like him a lot.
Talented player, isn't he?
He reminds me of Mark Ring when Mark Ring used to play at
Mm.
12. Just really jinky, creative player at 12.
Yeah, absolutely. When I look at this squad, Gav, do you know what? I think it's a really good squad. I mean, people will always take aim at the Wales squad. It'll never please everyone because you got people wanting their favourite players from their club in their team. But I think this is one of the best Wales squads Gatland has named in a long time, actually. This does make sense for the most part.
It's certainly the best squad since the World Cup.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I agree. So then, if you look at the fixtures, Wales have got only 3 games. There's no fourth international, which is unusual for Wales, but it is free this year. So Fiji, Australia, and South Africa. Realistically, Gav, how many wins we're going to get out
Two,
of them?
two. We could
So
win two. Realistically, none. But we could win two. We aren't beating South Africa.
And
We
if
probably haven't beaten
Gatland,
the other two, but it's
so if Gatland doesn't get 2 wins, he gets one. Do you think that raises even more questions about his future? Because Wales haven't won a game in 2024. I'm not counting the Reds because that wasn't a competitive game. I'm talking about proper competitive test matches. We
who
haven't won a
replace
game in 2024.
who replaces him.
Toby Booth.
I'd
Pat
I'd
Lam.
start to I'd start supporting England.
No, but he is under pressure, Gav, isn't he?
He is
He is
under
under
pressure,
pressure.
but I'll ask the question again: who replaces him?
Hmm.
Because
Yeah, there's no ready-made replacement, is there?
that's the problem, isn't it? That's the problem. All the potential replacements are already in jobs.
Yeah. And on long-term contracts like Pat Lam. I mean, Pat Lam he did actually say in public, didn't he? He would fancy coaching Wales. He did put that out there, but goodness me, it cost an arm and a leg, wouldn't it, for the WRU to get him out
And he
of
can't he
contract?
can't coach teams to defend.
Bristol are great to watch. They're so entertaining, but
They
defense is optional with them, isn't it? But
uh,
I can understand why a lot of people
uh,
like them.
I'll use Josh Gardner's phraseology from Blood and Mud for this. They're a profoundly unserious team.
Oh, they are. They are.
And I know Bristol fans, and they say, well, it's brilliant to watch. Yeah, but it must give you a bloody heart attack at times.
Yeah. And Saracens, they may not play sexy, attractive rugby, but they play title winning rugby, don't they? And Bristol just don't play title winning rugby. They play rugby based on vibes. But it's great to watch, but it won't win them a Gallagher Premiership title, I don't think. Playing that
No, it
kind of
won't
rugby.
because they'll get to the playoffs and they'll come up against a Saracens or they'll come up against a Northampton who will just grind them and play horrible rugby, but they won't care because they'll win.
Yeah. And we're trying to, Dragons are trying to play this expansive rugby, aren't we? But for me, I just rather play really dull, tedious, physical rugby, unsexy rugby, but win games personally.
I like 10-man rugby. I used to love flowing rugby when I was a kid. I like 10-man rugby now.
Yeah.
Don't give it to the backs. They never do anything with it anyway. Just, but then you need a powerful, and that's an old-fashioned view. You can't play
Yeah.
10-man rugby anymore.
Mm.
But
So going back to Wales, then I think for me, 2 out of 3. That's got to beat the aim. We can beat
yeah,
Fiji. I know Fiji going to be tough. They
yeah.
always are when we play them. Australia, they are showing signs of improvement
But we can
under
beat
Joe
them.
Schmidt, but it's a winnable game at home. 2 Sunday games, which is interesting. That's how far Wales have fallen now. We're not prime time anymore. We've been shunted to the Sunday afternoon slot.
It's
But the game,
irritating because it means I can't go to any of them.
yeah, I apparently ticket sales have been very slow as well for the Sunday games.
Yeah.
So we'd be interested in to
I've
see
been
how
offered
many they get.
tickets like at reduced cost, but I
Mm.
can't, I have to be back in Sussex 8 a.m. on Monday morning.
There's tickets going, free tickets for blue light card. So if you work in emergency services, you can get tickets through there. But I don't think I'll be going to any of them. But for me, anyway, it's got to be 2 out of 3. We're not going to beat South Africa. I think they're too
No,
strong,
no.
too powerful, too good for us right now. But there's no reason why we can't beat Fiji and Australia with our squad. And if not, then I think more questions will have to be asked about on Gatland, I'm afraid. But
A swap. Gatland at Dragons, die at Wales.
that'll be an interesting swap, wouldn't it? Goodness me. Okay, I think we'll leave it there, Gav. It's been a busy one. We got through a lot. Unless there's
So,
anything else you want to
no,
bring up?
no.
No? Okay, brilliant. We'll leave it there. We are taking a short break for the Ultimate Nationals, and I'm on holiday next week. So I'm not sure when we'll be back, probably sometime later in the month. But Gav, thank you for joining me. And
Thank
thank you
you.
to Riverside Sports Bar for supporting us. And thank you to our listeners, especially those who left us a nice review. Yeah, so until next time, take care and goodbye.